What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Slap.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the f*** are you talking about?
Exclusively on A2D Radio, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram. Downloads wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. He's Doug Mankiewicz. We got Week 1 NFL to talk about. We're getting some college stuff later. We got a Jets-Bills Monday night showdown tonight in the AFC East. Weather looks bleak, as it did for many of the games yesterday. So we're just going to jump right into it. We're always brought to you by Baggio's Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We're also brought to you by hats.com. In 2018, Eagles legend Brian Dawkins was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. To commemorate this moment, B-Dawk signed and launched an exclusive collaboration with Bowman Hat Company, America's oldest hat maker, on hats.com. Brian's love of hats and the Eagles were proud to display in Canton, and now you can find yourself in that same iconic Hall of Fame fedora. Just go to hats.com, search for Brian Dawkins, and use the Philly promo code for 15% off. There it is right there. We'll get Brad back in just a second here. But our poll question tonight, Doug, you know how the Northeast is. A lot of people, it wasn't, I mean, I predicted a blowout last week, 38-17. It wasn't as such. They squeaked by 25-20. They clearly have some things to work on, as most of the teams in the NFL do. Are you concerned with the Eagles' Week 1 performance? Agree or disagree? No. I mean, I'm not concerned at all. I mean, we talked about this leading up to Week 1. Like, these teams don't try. They don't take preseason. This isn't two-a-days in the 90s, the early 2000s. You're not going to hit the ground running, especially in a rainstorm that was yesterday. Now, would I like to see them run the ball a little better? Of course I would have. Would I like to see a more aggressive pass rush? Of course I would, but they won the game. They won the game on the road. The weather wasn't good, and they got it done. Won and covered. Winning teams, or good teams win. Championship teams cover. Eagles cover the 4.5. I don't know what you want when preseason just isn't taken as seriously as such. Now, they did get nicked up a little bit yesterday. James Bradbury starting corner. In concussion protocol. I would doubt that he's going to be able to play on Thursday. Short week coming up against the Vikings for the home opener. Nakobe Dean, he's going to be out a couple weeks. But, I mean, it was sluggish. They started real hot, took their foot off the gas. New England got back into it. Didn't like the fourth down play call by Nick Sirianni at the end of the game there. They didn't get it. Wasn't a good play call. And then New England all of a sudden has a chance to, punch it in for, a potential game-winning touchdown. But the defense held. They kept them out. Eagles are 1-0. Like, let's just take the win and enjoy it. It's going to be a special season here in Philadelphia. I think that when you're able to beat a team that's as well coached as the New England Patriots, and they showed better than I thought they were going to be. Kendrick Bourne made some plays. Hunter Henry made some plays. They have players up there, and their defense, after getting, kind of stepped on. But, the pick six, I can't put that on the defense. That was just a horrible decision by Mac Jones. So there were some good things. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, they look fantastic in the middle. I thought the linebackers did okay. The receivers and Jalen Hurts, they're going to get on track. I thought it was interesting that Kenneth Gainwell got a lot of the touches. DeAndre Swift, not really a factor. A lot of people were expecting him to have a big year, but Kenny Gainwell, he left the game banged up as well. So This is where the depth is going to come into play for Thursday. Brad, your thoughts on the Eagles-Patriots game? Are you concerned with the Eagles' Week 1 performance?
I didn't like it at all. I thought they played. I don't think they played very well at all. I think they were very lucky to be playing a last place team, and they were definitely not sharp. But you know what? A W is a W. So, no matter how ugly it might look, you got the win. So time to move on to Week 2.
Would you think people would feel different if the role was reversed and they were down 16-0 and ended up winning instead of being up 16-0?
I would think that it's still not good because New England is not a good football team. They're not going to be
bad. They're not bad.
They're not going to be competitive in that division, though.
No, there are not many teams in the NFL that will be. I mean, that's.
They're going to be an under 500 team this year. They're not really a good football team.
Patriots will have a better record at the end of the year than your Giants.
I don't know. We'll see. The Giants looked pretty bad yesterday, so I'm in no position. I'm in no position to talk about that.
Football again. Everybody, they're going to regret paying Daniel Jones that money. But anyway, I was just curious about the Northeast, and I think we all agree they're very high and very low. But again, a win on the road in the NFL ain't easy. I don't care who it's against. And you beat a mastermind, right? Week 1. That's a game. If you're a great team, you survive, right? You don't really want to, you're just thinking your personnel is better than the other one. You just survive it with a W and get out. And you got a game because you have to think about it. I'm not 100% sure, but I know when you cut off 3 days of your prep week for these Thursday night games, you can't tell me that you're not doing a little bit of both during the week, right? You'd think so. You can't. I know they're going to say, no, we take it one game at a time and we prep for this one. But what is there really to prep with? You
had 6 months to prep, right, Doug?
Right. You have 6, but you still don't know what you're going to see completely. You're going to prep for what their tendencies, right, with the players. But no one really knows how teams are going to look in Week 1. No one shows in preseason. And they might have played very bland against the Patriots or scheming for something magical Thursday night. You just never know. You never know. Like I said, you survived a tough place to play. A win in bad conditions, take it.
And to answer your question, Doug, I think if they're down 16-0 and they come back and win, I kind of think it's a little different because then you're kind of like, okay, they started slow, they were able to show they were a better team, and they came back and won. So I think people just get jittery. Here 5-star FFG in the chat. Let's see if I can get it up here. We might regret paying Jalen Hurts. No, you're not. You're not going to regret playing Jalen Hurts. What did you want him to do in that range in the first game?
You could have.
I think 170 yards and a touchdown. That's fine. That's not hurting you. Didn't have a turnover. No, you got to have a quarterback, and the Eagles have a good one. Because, Doug, you talked about it. And the reason I think, even if he does go through a slump or isn't as good as last year, he was phenomenal last year.
You could have Justin Fields too. You could have Justin Fields and be 9-8 every year.
They didn't look great yesterday either. But Jalen Hurts, we talk about on the show all the time. Attitude reflects leadership. Jalen Hurts is a great leader. Jalen Hurts works hard. He's not resting on his laurels from last season. He feels responsible, even though he played great for them losing the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. So that's the kind of guy you want as your leader and your highest paid player. And I read something online this week that the Eagles, it depends on who Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey are getting older. They might be off the payroll because of age and retirement, but Eagles are going to go into next year, with something like $15 million in cap space. So yeah, you paid your quarterback, but it's not hindering you from doing anything. I'm not so sure the Bengals and the Chargers were as smart as how it goes to managing the cap after giving those big paydays to Burrow and Herbert. So, I have no problem with Jalen Hurts. I really don't have any problem. They won the game.
Well, that's the bottom out. They weren't impressive. They weren't. Listen, were they impressive like San Francisco was? No. Were they impressive like, say, the Cleveland Browns were? No, but they found a way to win the game, and that's what good teams do. You know, they find ways to win, and bad teams find ways to lose.
Right. You could play great and lose. I'd rather play like garbage and win. That's just, in the lack of a better term. And that's not even like they play like garbage. I mean, again, like maybe they took a foot off the gas. Who knows? Who knows? But, I mean, the win's a win's a win.
Well, our buddy Gordy Combs, Rob, he said it best. I happened to watch the Raven game with him yesterday, and he said it best. Okay, there's no such thing as an ugly win. Okay,
correct.
A win is a win, and you move on to next week. And if you thought it didn't come up to your standards, then just move on to the next game. Doesn't really matter.
I'd be more concerned if they'd have won that game 41-0.
The Eagles?
Yeah.
Well,
because
I mean,
I don't know, I get cocky, but like as a fan and as like a I'm more concerned about my guys getting like thinking, okay, like last year's over, right? We don't worry about last year. You come out and blow somebody out, you're like, man, I'm not saying they're professionals. They shouldn't do that, but it's human nature, right? It's hard. That's why it's so hard to repeat at any level, because as much as you want to have the same drive, sometimes you might not. And you know what? Like from a coach's perspective, I would rather, as a player, I'd want to blow them out 41-0. But as a coach, at least I can keep their attention. Like, see, like, okay, it's just business as usual. We got to keep getting better. You know, we have things to work on. You know, we're making mistakes. This is what we're going to clean up. Watch the film, get better. It's hard to like break down a 41-0 and keep their attention. We're just defending Super Bowl champs. We come out and blow somebody out on the road. You know, we'll see. It's just that team to me has just got a different makeup. You've said it about it, talked about it before. Jalen Hurts is a superstar money-wise because he's a quarterback, but he doesn't have that feel to him, right? He's still doing extra work. He's the first guy in the weight room. Guys love playing with him. He's not going to get a big head. He's had adversity. He's had it ripped from him. College, all that stuff. He's had to deal humble pie. I don't think you're going to see that kid take a down off, and that's a good thing.
No, obviously the Eagles won yesterday, but do you think like a well-timed loss can be good for a team?
100%.
Especially with high expectations. Like
100%.
The Bengals yesterday got smoked. Like maybe that's good, especially this early in the season, because you can look in the mirror like, wow, like everyone's picking us to go to the Super Bowl, and we have a lot of things to work on. That's why I thought last year I think the Eagles was 7-0 or 8-0, and then they lost a Monday Night Football game at home to the Commanders. I wasn't really that upset at all. Like, okay, good. The monkey's off his back. Undefeated monkey's off your back. It's like you take a look in the mirror.
Every team's going to go through ups and downs. You know, not every team, like Super Bowl winning teams like that, like you guys last year, the Chiefs, right? They were used to going 12-5, 13-4, right? They can you can't afford to lose, but like this year you're in the NFC, you can almost have a couple games. Everybody's gonna lose at least once. There's only one team that's ever gone undefeated, right? So timing's everything. It's like every win you get, I always feel like this. Every win, like when your team is more healthy than normal as an NFL or a college team, those games are must wins, right? So you can give yourself a break if, like last year, Jalen Hurts' shoulder, right? The Dolphins lose Armstead as their right tackle, right? Tua goes out for 5 games. It doesn't matter who you play with your backups. It's going to be a contest. You're going to have, if you can win a couple of those. So every time your team is generally healthy, to me, those are games that you must, for me, the teams that you're supposed to win, you've got to win those games. It gives you a mulligan for later in the year.
Absolutely.
There's Chrome checking in. What's up, fellas? Love overreaction Monday with all these morons already panicking about Jalen's contract. I don't get it. And there's another one, Philip Preston checking us out on YouTube. Basically, to summarize his quote, if you're worried about Jalen Hurts now, you never believed him in the first place.
Correct.
And I didn't believe it. This time last year, I'm talking mad smack on Jalen Hurts. I think he could do it because I watched that Tampa game 2 years ago, and Tampa totally had the football on him from start to finish, and it was a total disaster. It looked like he was ready for the moment or was ever going to be ready for the moment, and that was proven wrong. If Jalen Hurts didn't prove you wrong last year, he goes into the Super Bowl and probably should have won MVP in that football game in a loss. Put the team on his back. A couple things just didn't go the Eagles' way when push came to shove, so that the Chiefs were able to win the Super Bowl. I can't help you.
You take away a quarter of that game, you could Jalen Hurts outplayed Mahomes.
Except for the fact that he gave up a pick six fumble. But
in general, like you could say, in the first half, were you saying who was the best player on the field? Period.
Oh, without a doubt, Hurts was.
Question. So, yeah, I mean, that's how fickle sports are, right? One play, one this, one that, whatever. But
Andy made some adjustments,
of course.
And they weren't the Eagles for a little bit in the third quarter weren't able to adjust back, and when they were able to adjust, they found themselves, behind the sticks, sort of in a fact that Kansas City had an advantage that every time Kansas City had the ball, they would score, and that they would have the ball last, because that's kind of how it happened.
Welcome to the NFL of 2023. Whoever has the ball last is gonna. It's like feel like it's gonna win or lose a game.
Well, when it's a close game, yeah, you're right.
It's good. Why do NFL?
Eric, why do NFL teams got to go in the direction of the younger so you have a proven experience when they have skin in the game? I guess that's a shot at Brian Johnson, who was promoted to offensive coordinator. Shane Steichen goes to Indianapolis to be a head coach. I mean, let's give him more than one game to put his stamp. Let's see. I don't know what the weather's going to be like Thursday, but it's got to be better than the slop that was playing New England yesterday. I mean, those were tough conditions. There was tough conditions in the Giants game. Looks like there's going to be tough conditions in the Jets game. Cincinnati and Cleveland was a disaster from a weather standpoint. So, let's give Brian Johnson a little bit of a chance here. I thought the new defensive coordinator, Sean Desai.
Well, I'll tell you one team that wasn't bothered at all by any weather was the San Francisco 49ers. They looked very impressive in smacking the Steelers.
They travel. But that's a good question, though. That's I hate to say that, Eric R. is that's sports in general now, right? The new guy, right? The new guy. That everybody's trying to find the one that no one really knows about, right? They give the young guy a shot. Well, somewhere along the line, experience does matter, right? Now, I think it gives you a track record, right? If you have the right people. How many years were Andy Reid, even as a head coach? I can't win the big one. He can't win the big one. But he got there a ton of times. You know what I'm saying? It's and they want to go with, the Cowboys. Nothing against why is his name? I'm drawing a blank. The Boise State guy. The Boise State coach.
Kellen Moore.
Right. Kellen Moore, right? He had to go somewhere else to be it. But how does he get promoted over, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, to me, that's like everybody's trying to outsmart the next one, right? Even with Mike McDaniels for the Dolphins, right? He looks like the guy that you go buy computers from at Best Buy, right? Or he won some fantasy contest to coach the Dolphins this week. You know what I mean? That's what he looks like. He's a mad scientist, don't get me wrong. But again, if you have, I feel like it depends on who your team is too. You have an experienced type team. That experience, we went with Fangio for defense, right? I love it because he's had teams and had multiple times success. So if you're going to listen, you have the right group of guys, veteran corners, veteran defensive line, they're going to listen. You want someone as a player, you want someone who's been there, right? You have faith in that. Hey, this dude's going to lead me to the promised land. I trust him. That's what I feel like in all of sports. To answer his question, I think that's what's getting lost in all this. Yeah, the Mike McDaniels Tua Tagovailoa thing is looking fantastic, right? But how many times has it not worked? It's not worked a ton of times. I mean, look at what happened to the Broncos last year. You had a veteran quarterback and a new head coach, and it looked like it was disastrous. So I don't. That's just to answer that. I feel that's how I feel about all the sports. You don't see basketball teams going with outside of the Heat, right? You very rarely see them going to a guy you never heard of, right? How many times has Jeff Antoni been recycled in the NBA?
Yeah,
it's he's been everywhere.
So I mean, who knows? Again, kind of off topic, but I'd feel like you want the guy who's been there before.
So
if you want to ready for it.
So when you see a team like the Carolina Panthers, who were a disaster last, they get Frank Reich. Good offensive coordinator, has been recycled a couple times in terms of the head coach.
I like
that type of hire, or do you want like a Mike McDaniel?
Well, it just depends on. I think the Frank Reich thing is great for Carolina for him, right? He's done it before. He's been a quarterback. He understands. He's had success as a coach. Maybe not the end all, whatever you want, but he has a knack for bringing along young quarterbacks. If you give that coach say in who you pick, yes. If Mike McDaniel's, whether I believe it or not, he is. I mean, granted, you could have brought in anybody outside of Brian Flores to make him feel like they have Tua's back now compared to Brian Flores, because Brian Flores made it very clear he didn't want him. I mean, it was pretty obvious. And I'm a Brian Flores fan. I liked the team. I liked the Miami Dolphins under Brian Flores. I really did. I thought they got tougher, but at the same token, Tua bought into what he was selling. And it's great, but I think it's going to work. But you get for every Tua, you have how many? Think about how many young quarterbacks never got to be. We don't know. You really don't know how good the kid in Chicago is. He was talented as heck in college. We don't know. He's got nothing around him. So is it his fault?
No.
Is it? That's I always say this. You always look back to if you put. Not to take away anything from Tom Brady, because I think he's one of the best ever, obviously. I'm a huge fan. If he was taken one by the Colts where Peyton Manning was and had to play right away, you put Peyton Manning with those guys, with Belichick, it's close.
It would be the same result, I feel like.
You know what I'm saying? So that's that it's you're almost penalized for being so great in college to where these teams go after you. I mean, being able to sit. Look at the Packers. Jordan Love, my gosh, he blew me away opening week. It's only week 1, but talk about overreaction Monday. Think about it. I listened to some guys this morning talk about he's replacing 30 years of Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacking. Not once, but twice. He got a chance to watch. Boom. These guys that get rushed in there and get just their head kicked in, no one wants to sit. I don't care what anybody says. And there's no way a kid's ever going to say, hey, let me sit, because look how it's worked out for them. But Tom Brady didn't play right away. He wasn't expected to do much. That was a defensive-laden team, run the ball, play action, whatever. His leadership kicked in immediately and went on for 20-some plus years. God bless him. But that's I always said about you put Dan Marino on the 49ers, you tell me he doesn't win 3 Super Bowls? You're damn right he does.
Of course he does. But
you put Joe Montana with no defense. We don't even know if Joe Montana is Joe Montana because you're coming back from 3 scores down instead of 4 points. So it's all a young quarterback's best friend is an offensive minded guru who understands the position, understands the ups and downs. I said Tua's best quality is Mike McDaniel.
That's why I don't understand the Bears. They go defensive-minded Matt Eberflus from Indianapolis, and you're spending the third pick in the whole draft on Justin Fields.
Right.
Now, I do think that guys like Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, I don't think if Derek Jeter was on the Royals, I think the Royals win all those championships. Jeter still gets it. I think Tom Brady, as good as if he goes, whatever team he went to, Peyton Manning, whatever team those guys went to, I think they would have. I
think they're champion. I 100%. I agree with that. But it wouldn't have been to say you win 7. I mean, granted, he's done it with great talent, and he's done it with not so great talent at the wide receiver position, right? So he's kind of melted and been around. We're talking about the greatest, winner in the history of arguably of organized sports, right? But it's it's not that I'm downplaying what those guys have done. I'm just who knows? Like some of these other guys, like I said, you said it perfectly. Justin Fields, they take him and they hand it over to a defensive-minded head coach.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Right. Like I guarantee I look and I fight this in South Florida all the time. And I have people on Facebook that are killing me because they think I'm anti-Tua. We've talked about this a million times. And they're like, I hope you all you Tua haters eating crow like you, Doug. And I'm like, I'm not a Tua hater. I just until he stays healthy for a whole season, I'm gonna be skeptical.
Well, yeah, you could feel that way. He always gets hurt.
You tell me. If you had, just take Justin Fields, you put Justin Fields at quarterback with the Miami Dolphins with those absolute freaks on the outside. Like, there were dudes, they were wide open forever. And the Chargers were the one team that kept us at 17 points last year. Like not to have the ability to anticipate, which is what Tua's best quality is. He anticipates throws. But if you have that with arm strength, when you can just bail out and just throw it 60 yards down the field, you can't tell me that the other kid couldn't do the exact same thing with this offense.
Well, the only thing is Tua also is extremely accurate. He was in college too.
I mean, there's not a lot of.
He's a really accurate quarterback as well. I mean, that's one thing he has. He has a gift that he can put the ball right on the money.
I'm pretty sure most quarterbacks in the NFL are. They have to be because there's no windows. But I'm saying if there's one team that has windows, you have two guys that run 25 miles an hour.
Well,
it's like a video game.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It doesn't hurt to have that.
To be able to just out. I mean, Tua. They always say Tua can't throw, but he looks like he underthrows. But everybody underthrows Tyreek Hill, unless you just catch it and throw as far as you can.
That's the beauty of it. There's Anthony Price on Facebook. We're in a question. How do you feel about most of the QBs getting the bag that didn't show up this week, or is it too early? Quarterbacks are getting the paid, that Hurts, Herbert, Burrows, they got paid. Justin Herbert, he didn't lost. He played good.
He played well. I mean,
he put up 34 points.
You can't blame Justin Herbert for the pass interference on the last play of the half that leads to 3 points. So that's not his fault. That was terrible. Which I appreciate the fact that we actually pushed the ball down the field. What's going to hurt? Anyway, but yes, and that's the problem people have in every sport, right? When players get paid, you're making all the money now, you got to play better. No, just be you. You've earned that money, right? You're paying for the same guy to keep going out there. Week 1, is it too early? Yeah, I mean, trust me, I didn't watch the Bengals game, but it had to be completely horribly weathered. When I looked and saw he threw under 100 yards, how is that possible? I don't care.
Didn't seem to bother Cleveland though.
Right. I don't care if you're playing in baby.
Cleveland also owns Cincinnati and Cleveland. I think they've won 9 of their last 10 games there.
I agreed. There's a lot of shocks that went on. Baker Mayfield beating the Vikings, right? Who picked that? Who would have thought that?
Not me.
The Browns drubbing the Bengals. Who else? I said the Niners were going to drub the Steelers. I'm not in on the Steelers.
No, you did say that. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting
that offense travels
play well. Yeah.
Let's be honest. That same offense that Tua's in, Brock Purdy's running it.
Yeah.
True.
With a bad elbow. With a elbow got put back together 5 months ago.
That was a very un-Steeler-like performance. They got hit in the mouth all afternoon. Christian McCaffrey had close to 160 yards rushing. You don't see the Steelers get bullied like that at home. I know the Niners are good, but I thought the Steelers were good. We'll see how it plays out. But.
Well, the way the 49ers play, it doesn't matter where they play.
Correct. It doesn't matter what weather. It don't matter what weather.
They like to run the football. If they can run the football down your throat, and then just play and keep have a low scoring game, play defense, and just have the ball and not let you have the ball, they're more than happy with that. They'd be more than happy with a 24-0 victory as opposed to a 42-30 game.
Everybody quit on the Rams, right? They put up 34.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. So the Seahawks, I don't know what to say about the Seahawks. I heard the quote from Geno Smith yesterday. There was one point in the fourth quarter where he went back to pass and somebody forgot to block Aaron Donald, and he said, "Oh, Not again.
Got scared. Said he got scared.
There's one guy in the NFL you need to you should see in front of you. Aaron Donald's in the top 3.
Yeah, I think he said, "Oh, not again," to Donald just before he's ready to kill him.
I can think of Donald. I can think of Aaron Donald and both Bosa twins. If they're lined up across from you, you really know who you're up against.
Miles Garrett as well. He's a freak too.
Yeah, exactly. You get the point, though. If I see Aaron Donald, I'm not going to mistake him from somebody else.
No.
Don 19, our resident Detroit Lions fan, how much stock do you put in week 1? You know, it varies from situation to situation. I'm the Steelers, I'm concerned today. I'm the Eagles, I'm not concerned. I won't. If I'm the Giants, Brad, we're going to get to your Giants in a minute, but I'm concerned. I'm the Bears, I'm worried. If I'm the Chargers, no, I'm not that worried. We just lost. We had a couple things not go our way.
Also the Chiefs lost too. So
well, that's what I mean. If I'm the Lions, I'm a lot more. I feel fantastic about my 1-0 team more so than I would if I'm the Eagles, right? Because you beat the defending Super Bowl champs. How many of those games last year did they lose? Right, they lost 6 of those, right? 6, maybe 7, I think. They were. I mean, if you cut those losses in half and go 500 on those games that they were in, that team's a 12-win team. So
I think they started 1-6 last year.
I know, but they how many games did they lose by within 1 score? There was a lot, 5 or 6, I think, if I can remember right. But
you're right.
If I'm a Lions fan, I'm pumped because every win teams like that get over teams that no one gave them a shot to. It reiterates what Dan Campbell has been saying for a year now. Hey, we're a tough punch you in the mouth. We're coming. We're young, but we're going to learn how to win. Wins like that are huge for teams like that are still they picked up some right people who actually believe.
But let's be honest though. Okay, let's just be honest. They didn't have Chris Jones.
Doesn't matter. They still beat the Chiefs.
They didn't have Travis Kelce. Well, it does matter because
no, it doesn't. It's still a win.
You're playing baseball. You're beating the team. You played the team at the right time. That's all.
The scheduling is everything. When you play somebody is more important than who you are playing.
Oh, I'm just saying. It's not the Chiefs.
There's not going to be an asterisk by that win.
The Chiefs lost by 1 point, and they were missing arguably their best offensive player, not counting their quarterback, of course, and their best defensive lineman. And by the way, he did sign today, Chris Jones, so he's back.
Well, when at the end of the year they're going to say they beat the Chiefs and the rest of the division didn't.
So yeah, that's probably going to be the case.
What's the locker room? Because Mike Tirico, I think Mike Tirico is terrific. I think he's a really good announcer. But at the end of that broadcast on Thursday, he said this one's got a little bit of an asterisk next to it. What do you think about that, Doug?
Well, because again, it's like, are the Lions supposed to apologize because they beat the team that didn't have their tight end? No, I know Kelce's a huge part. Kelce's a huge part of their offense. But
and Chris Jones is a big part of their defense
for sure, too. Absolutely. But it would mean more if they didn't have Mahomes. Then you can make an arguably excuse. You're telling me you have Andy Reid as your head coach. He knows what to do besides having that one guy. You have the best quarterback on the planet. You can score more than 20 points. And again, absolutely. And without Chris Jones, they only gave up 21. So you expect – I don't care if they don't have Kelce on the field or not. You expect them to score more than 20 points. I would. I do. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care.
The way they're presently constituted, though, they cannot afford to not have Kelce. So they don't really have great wide receivers at all.
No, they didn't have great wide receivers last year either. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, but they were better. They were better last year than they are right now.
Okay, but so you're telling me that if teams have known that Travis Kelce is their focal point of their offense for how long?
Yeah, but they can't stop him.
Someone's got to have to figure it out. Nothing's unstoppable. Nothing.
No, that's true, but nobody ever has been able to figure out how to stop.
That's my point.
How to stop Kelce.
So I understand he's important. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I understand that. I mean, when they had the scary part is when they had Tyreek Hill on that team too, and you're just like,
well, that's why they very rarely lost.
No wonder they scored 80 points a game. But
yeah,
I wouldn't ever argue that, hey, well, guess what? We beat the Chiefs, but we didn't have Travis Kelce or Chris Jones. I don't care. Like teams don't feel bad when, they didn't put an asterisk by the games that Miami Dolphins lost last year when Tua didn't play.
No, I get that. I'm just making a point though with the Lions.
I understand that for sure.
It's a big win for the Lions, but as far as if they had to ever play them in the Super Bowl or whatever,
it's a long ways away.
I know. I'm just making a point that if they ever had to play each other again, I don't think the Chiefs would be all that concerned about losing to the Lions.
I don't think so. But again, it's a different. You talking about two different franchises and two different,
Well, yeah, the Lions. I mean, the Lions are an up and coming
around on their journey here. You're talking about an up and coming team. That's a big win for them. I don't care if they didn't have.
Of course it is.
If their Chiefs didn't show up and they had to play in flip flops, that's still a win.
I mean, let's be honest, okay? The other three teams are going to get their doors blown off by the Chiefs because they're going to have everybody back. So that's going to be the story there. But that is a big win for the Lions. And you know what? And the Vikings lost a big game, so the Lions now are 1-0. I guess what our question is going to be is, what do we make of the Packers with Julian Love?
I think we're still in a holding pattern.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, no question.
He beat a junior varsity team.
I understand that, but he still won his first game as a
starter.
For
sure. Well, I'm not taking anything away. Again, I didn't even put that. I didn't think about it that way. I mean, the Packers coaches, front office, I know they're not all been there, but front office, they're fans. They're used to seeing nothing but quarterback perfection. I mean, there's people that are 30 years old, 35 years old who have never witnessed anything.
Well, that must have been the same thing as what it was like to be a Colt fan, right?
But try having
right from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, right?
But I mean, Andrew Luck, stop it. Andrew
Luck was really good though.
He played for 4 years. He didn't do it for 18. He quit after 8.
But he was really good though.
Okay, but you're talking about two guys that did it for 18 years.
No, I understand that, but all I'm saying is they went from Peyton Manning to another really good quarterback. Now I know he ended up getting hurt and he just couldn't play anymore because he got so beat up, and that was the Colts' fault for never drafting any offensive linemen for him. That guy could have done some unbelievable things with the talent he had.
He's soft. Stanford. He's soft. Stanford.
Oh, he got the crap beat out of him.
Stanford. Enough said. Stanford.
Well, if you want to make fun of the Pac-12, that's
soft.
Back then, yeah,
soft.
He was. You wouldn't take him as your quarterback. Well, maybe not now because you have two.
I already have paper mache as a quarterback. I don't need two.
Yeah, no, I happen to really have liked Luck. I just felt bad for him because I think he got the shaft as far as that team went. They really screwed him by not getting him some offensive linemen. I mean, they made some really stupid.
There is a space case too. Why do I think that he had some backdoor reason of why Andrew Luck decided? He's
go to Stanford. You got to be smart, like you know what I mean. So you've got something to fall back on, and he probably didn't want to eat his dinner through a straw through his nose by the time he's 38 years old. He's probably the smartest guy in the room. Obviously, he's not stupid. He gets it. And I just feel like I always feel like he never really had that. Like, you almost have to have a personality flaw, right, to be a great. I mean, Tom Brady did nothing but prepare himself for Sundays. I mean, the dude changed his diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the Patriots also had a very good offensive line.
I'm just saying, even in Tampa, like to do it at 40 years old, I'm talking about individually, like those guys do things. Like there is nothing else besides their body, their mind, and their preparation and how they do things. I'm sure he wasn't a hell of a lot of fun to be around as a significant other, because there is no significant other when it comes to it's me and my career. That's it. So like as much as people want to like adore them as fans as we should, like I'm sure they weren't a barrel of fun to be around because I have to drink water and eat pistachio ice cream and I can only have one scoop. That shit gets old. But that's why like there's discipline to get to the top, and then they take it to the max effort that even great players won't do. So like I'm sure, like I said, a lot of the great players weren't real fun to be around. You know, like great leaders generally like aren't the most liked guy in the room.
All right, Brad. So Sunday Night Football last night.
Oof.
Well, excited.
I was concerned
for that game, and
I was concerned for you, Brad. I was like gonna check in on you, but I didn't want to rub it in. But I was really concerned. Like I was.
Doug, it's not like I haven't seen this before. Okay, I mean, listen. The only thing that made the weekend like semi-respectable was the fact that that Rutgers beat Temple. Okay, but I have to turn that on. Then yesterday, I go to a friend's house. The guy who coaches Towson, who used to coach Towson, Gordy Combs, and we're watching the Raven game, and I'm watching a very good football team, and the Ravens just kind of snooze through a very easy win against the Texans, and it was almost like, it was 7-6 at halftime for the Ravens, and the Ravens looked like complete crap. And it's almost like John Harbaugh at halftime must have screamed his freaking head off. And the Ravens come out, they 3-and-out the Texans. They march right down the field, score a touchdown. Then they 3-and-out them again and march down the field again and score another touchdown. And before you could even blink, it went from 7-6 to 21-6. No, to 20-6. So it's like, what the heck? So you watch that, and then I take a look to see how the Yankees doing, and I see there's a no-hitter through 6, and then there's a no-hitter through 8. Then I see there's a no-hitter through 10. Okay, 10 innings. The Yankees didn't have a hit for 10 innings.
It's hard to do.
And I have to sit there, and there Philly fans in the room and Oriole fans in the room, and I have to hear that the laughter that's going on. And they were no hit for 10 innings, and they still found a way to win the game, which is kind of crazy in its own right. But that's because Cole was pitching, 7 of the innings. So
that's fine.
But I just wonder, in the history of baseball, has a team ever been no hit for 10 innings and then come back and win? I guess the Harvey Haddock's Brooklyn Dodgers won, right? Wasn't that the game in Brooklyn against the Yankees when they had a no-hitter in the 10th inning? And
you know more about it than I would.
Yes, I think I forgot who got a hit, but I think it was Cookie Lavagetto hit one off the wall, and 2 runs scored, and the Dodgers beat the Yankees 2-1 in I think game 1. The Yankees ended up winning the series anyway, but I think that's the only time I can remember that ever happening.
I'm really glad I didn't stay up and watch that. Let's put it that way.
I watched
I saw the first 5 minutes. And I was like, I've seen enough.
Doug, I saw the bitter end. Well, first Jones throws a ridiculous interception, and it's a pick 6. Okay, they get the ball back. They try a field goal. It gets blocked and returned for a touchdown. So before you could even sit down, start drinking your first beer, okay, you just actually poured it. Okay, you haven't actually gotten the glass to your mouth yet. It's already 14-0, and then the Giants get the ball back, and Daniel Jones is just getting murdered because that offensive line still sucks. No matter who the GM is, no matter who the coach is, the Giants still don't have an offensive line, and it's really it's getting freaking old. And it's getting old, the fact that every year we have to get smoked by the Cowboys and smoked by the Eagles. I mean, come on already. How many years do we have to put up with this crap? It's painful already. And last night, listen, the Cowboys could have won that game 60-0. Okay, they went in the fourth quarter. Thank God Mike McCarthy took Pollard out okay, and he put some guy, Deuce, whatever his last name is, he put that guy in and let him start running the ball, and then the Cowboys, stop scoring because it could have really gotten out of hand. But the Giants found themselves behind 26-0 pretty much before they even knew they were in a game. And then to add insult to injury, they get the ball and Jones finally is getting a little time, and he throws some nice passes to Waller. The Giants march right down the field. Okay, then they unfortunately, they get stopped, so they try a 35-yard field goal, and Gano kicks the ball about 50 yards wide. I don't know if you saw that field goal.
Yeah, I watched the entire game.
Yeah, that may have been one of the ugliest field goals I've ever seen. I mean, the snap was bad. They had to kind of mess around with the holder had to mess around to get the ball down just barely in time. The ball got kicked about at least 20 yards wide. And it just seemed like after that, the Giants kind of mailed it in, and not good. Just really, really bad. Now, I'd like to blame it on the weather. I'd like to blame it on a million things, but I blame it on the fact that the Giants came out and were not mentally prepared to play the Cowboys and match intensity with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys came out angry that they lost to San Francisco last year in the playoffs. The Giants came out looking like they read all their hype and said, "Oh, you know what?
Dallas might score 3 points next week, and it wouldn't shock anybody. I don't think it would shock anybody if Dallas scores 3 points next week. It wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't shock me if the Giants go out and beat the crap out of the Cardinals next week too. Because I think they're going to have I think they will. I think they're going to have a really ugly week of practice this week. I think that Dable is going to make them pay for their poor behavior on Sunday night, and I think they'll come out and win the game next week. But there is no excuse to get beat down like that. You would think with all the booing that was going on that the Giants might show a little pride, and try to not keep fumbling the ball. I mean, how many times did they? I know they recovered a lot of them, but how many times did they fumble last night? Like 4 or 5 times.
Daniel Jones should be used to getting booed.
Yeah, but that wasn't all his fault, though, Doug. I got to tell you. I mean, Mahomes wouldn't have won that game yesterday. I don't think the quarterback that could have won that game for the Giants was born yet. No quarterback could have won.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, that was ridiculous, and I kind of felt bad for him because you know what? Okay, the touchdown, the pick six, that was a bad throw. That was a dumb bad throw. He looked like in his rookie year the way he just kind of chucked the ball out there and it got intercepted. He panicked, so that was his fault. But the rest of the game was not his fault. The poor guy's got to be able to have to be able to go back there and not immediately as soon as he gets back there, he has to immediately not step into the pocket, but run into the pocket so he doesn't get killed before he throws the ball. I mean, how do you do that?
I mean, is Dallas this good or the Giants that bad? I don't understand how you can.
I think Dallas's defense is really good.
That's the beauty of Week 1, right there.
Yeah, the Dallas's defense is good. I have no doubts about that. But the Giants' defense looked terrible too last night. They got pushed all over they got pushed around.
You never know, right? Like you never know. Like everybody wants to overreact. Everybody wants to feel good, but we don't really know. We don't know
how bad the Giants are, and we don't really know how good.
Pro football, you won't know till Week 5, really 4 or 5, before you really know maybe a consistent effort to where you know where you stand, right? So, college football is even worse. It's like maybe Week 3, maybe Week 4, you play a good team you don't know, and even then, like even this game tonight, like the Bills and the Jets, like who needs it more? I think the Bills need it more.
No, I don't agree with that.
I think the Jets need it more than the Bills do because the Bills make the playoffs every year, and even if they lose, they lost to the Jets last year in their matchup in New York. They got beat pretty handily, and that was the week that they practically broke Josh Allen's elbow.
But I just think I think it'd be like, okay, see, we're still here. You forgot about us, but we're still here.
The Bill, yeah. Well, yeah, the Bills, yeah. I mean, I don't know how anybody could forget about that.
The sky is falling if the Bills lose this game.
What,
and everybody's going to be on the Aaron Rodgers love train, and oh my gosh, the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. But if Buffalo wins, it's okay that the Jets. Aaron Rodgers' first game was a Jet. It's okay. He just still getting to know his personality.
I don't think it's going to be perceived like that at all.
I don't think it's going to be perceived like that. I think the Jet fans are expecting a win tonight. I think the Jet fan thinks that they have a championship level defense and that they were a quarterback away from being a championship level team last year. I think a lot of them think that.
Oh,
so no, I'm telling you, this is.
I know. I trust me.
I'm not making this. I
know Jet fans. I know.
I am not a Jet fan. Okay, but I'm telling you, this is.
I should say I know New York fans.
Yeah. Well.
I get it.
Yeah. Now, well, Giant fans are very negative, so you can't really put us in the same. In the same realm.
You've actually understood.
We've actually won a few championships.
Right.
But we're very negative because we always are expecting something stupid to happen, because the IQ of this team, other than when Tom Coughlin and Bill Parcells was coaching the team, the IQ of the team in general has been probably below 30.
Yeah, but trust me, as a Dolphins fan who suffered through umpteen years of losing, never doing anything, I was barely old enough to remember the Super Bowl. I would rather them be garbage for the other years they're not winning the Super Bowl. At least they've won it. Right?
Well, yeah. No. I get that. I get that. It just you start getting to a point though when you're losing, when you're getting smacked around by teams that you really despise. It starts to really get aggravating.
Last night was excruciatingly painful.
It was. Now, the really scary thing is if the Giants lose to the Cardinals, do you know who they have to play next? On the road in San Francisco. I mean, Jesus, that's almost.
That's almost like your season's over in week 4.
Having to watch that game though, that's.
Trust me.
I mean, it's going to be like watching Rutgers play Ohio State or Rutgers play Michigan. The last few years, that's how ugly it's going to get, and that should never happen to a professional football team. But
you're right. You're right on that.
It could. I mean, college football is a little different. By the way, if Rutgers wins next week. And they have to play. Who is it? Who the heck are the Hokies? I forgot which team. Is that VCI or
the Hokies?
Yeah,
Virginia Tech. Isn't it?
Virginia Tech. Yeah, they're playing Virginia Tech next week.
They can win that game. Virginia Tech's garbage.
Oh, okay. All right.
They can win that game.
They go 3-0, and then they go to the Big House in Michigan. So that should be, as far as I'm concerned, if they're competitive in that game, then they're for real. If they go and they lose 48-0,
do you don't have faith in Shiano bringing it back again?
Well, you know what I've seen out of their defense this year, I think that they have a first-round draft pick at the quarterback position in this kid Melton. And Melton's from right around here. He's from Egg Harbor.
Nice.
So yeah. My Gordy knows him, Rob. Gordy knows the family, so they're from Egg Harbor, and I know they're trying to get him to go to Towson, and he wanted to stay home and go to Rutgers. But by the way, I got to tell you about him. Watching a football game with a football coach and a couple of his buddies. Okay, he saw stuff that I, in a million years, would never notice in a game. He was calling out Patrick Queen for never guarding anybody, for just standing around in the defensive backfield. And he was screaming at him for the entire first half. What are you doing? Queen, for God's sakes, don't just stand there. Cover somebody. Stop waving your arms like somebody else is supposed to do your job. Blah, blah, blah. He'd see all the penalties. He'd be calling penalties as they're actually happening. And he said, "Where's the flag?" "Oh, there it is." And I'm like, "What flag? What happened?" And he said, somebody was holding, and he could tell you exactly who the person was that's holding. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, holy crap. I thought I knew a lot about football. This guy was a football coach for God knows how many years. Okay, but it was. We're gonna have him. We're gonna have him on again. I'll have him come over to my house so he can get on. He can get on over here. But it was interesting watching with people who know that much about football. And his buddies were guys that played with him when he played in the 70s, and they all they knew they could tell from every time there was like a set, every time the teams set up to play, they knew what was coming. I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, that looks like a run. No, trust me, it's a pass. I'm like, no, they're gonna, and they pass. And it was like, oh, all right.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a unique opportunity for me to see that through somebody who really, really knows the game. Now I kind of get it with Tony Romo, how he
stop for a second. Hang on, stop for a second. Are you watching the game?
I don't have it on yet. No.
Why am I looking at on ESPN? Why am I looking at Zach Wilson's 2 for 2 for 13 yards? Did Aaron Rodgers get hurt already?
Wait, what?
Zach Wilson is in the game. I don't know. Someone in the comments can help us out with that. Before we move on, let me tell you about our friends at royalbilliards.com. Find all your room and man cave needs at royalbilliards.com. Just had it. Check out Royal Billiards Recreation, the coolest place for all your game room and man cave needs. For the last 41 years, this family-owned business has been the premier game room store in the Delaware Valley, stocked with the very best in pool tables and accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, and bar stools. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Oh, yeah, I mentioned they have hot tubs too. Stop by Royal Billiards, located 515 Bethlehem Pike in Calmer, Pennsylvania, or on the web at royalbilliards.com. Everything's fun for your home or office. That's royalbilliards.com. Let's check out the comments here. See what happened with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm trying to load this thing, and it's like it won't let.
Rodgers got sacked and was helped off the field, and Zach Wilson is in the game.
Good Lord.
I mean,
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because Aaron Rodgers is hurt.
No.
I'm laughing because like every Jet fan.
What a Jet thing to happen. Holy smokes.
Aaron
That's a Yankee. What are they catching Yankee-itis?
I mean,
Doug, did you hear the latest? Did you hear the latest with the Yankees?
Yeah, I told that dude.
Jason Dominguez already got hurt. He has a torn rotator cuff, or no, a torn UCL, and he has got to get Tommy John surgery. Like what?
Because most of these Jets fans are Mets fans too.
Yes, they are.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Like injuries and stuff. I'll tell you a funny. Here's where today's sports are. Okay. I have a buddy of mine. I might have even told you guys this, but I have a buddy who was my trainer for the Twins in the minor leagues, AA, a couple years. Long story short, he was there a long time. He got let go. Became a big league trainer. I think close to getting to the big leagues in AAA for a long time. Got let go by the Twins. Well, then they signed Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa hires him as his personal guy. That should tell you something. That's where we are. They're hiring the same analytic style people who interview well, and there's got to be a correlation to what's going on with the way they train and the way they treat. Because, am I wrong? More and more injuries are happening today. Not to get off topic, but baseball. I mean, football quarterbacks throw. Oh boy, did I just read that right? No, don't get me wrong. When Aaron Rodgers comes off the field, it ain't a hangnail. It's not. It's either a shattered thumb and he hit on a helmet, Or like, have we ever seen him take a playoff ever?
No.
That dude's like, you can say what you want, say he's eccentric, whatever you want to say about him. California,
He's nutty, but he's nutty, but
that
he's
dude
tough.
goes to the post every single snap.
No, he's tough.
It ain't something minor if he's not playing.
No, absolutely not. Now I'm a little surprised that Buffalo's come out so conservatively so far. But boy, oh boy, we'll see what happens with Rodgers if he's able to come back in the game. If
he comes back out, it's
is he going on? Is he on the cart?
Yeah, it's like Willis Roberts in the Knicks. Like it's gonna be like he's gonna be Braveheart for God's sakes.
He's on the cart.
I know.
Oh my God! What?
When I saw Zach Wilson 2 for 213, I'm like, hang on, dude. Aaron Rodgers doesn't just come out of a game.
Well, I just real quick wanted to see what the Yankee Red Sox score was, and it's being delayed by rain. And that's when you
You're
said
not going
that.
to the playoffs, dude. It's turn the
It's
page.
not the point. It's not the
Turn
point.
the page.
It's not.
Minguez is your best player. He's hurt. Like just turn the page. Start over.
It's not the point. I live and die with that team, and you know what? If we could at least just beat the Red Sox and not come in last place, I think I can handle that. Just at least give me something to root for.
You ain't first or last.
Huh? Well,
if you're last place, you get a better draft pick.
But it's Boston, so we don't want to lose to them.
I get it.
We don't want to lose to them. If we could at least be ahead of them, at least we could sit there and they can't sit there and give us shit. Because we can say, yeah, well, you know what? At least we didn't come in last like you again.
I can relate. I've been on both sides of that. I totally understand that.
Let's run through these games real quick. We'll get into a little bit for next week. Look at the slate. Look at the way too early slate, which we've liked to do for years here.
There's some good ones. There's some intriguing games. There's intriguing. It's intriguing.
I'm just going to touch on a couple that we didn't really talk about yet. We talked about Baker Mayfield a little bit. Buccaneers beat the Vikings 20-17. I mean, these are the games that the Vikings won all last year and were able to get.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out for them yesterday.
Nope.
Jaguars looked good. Calvin Ridley picked up right where he left off with Trevor Lawrence.
The Jaguars were horrible for 3 quarters, and then they woke up and won the game.
Right. Thankfully, they were playing the Colts.
Yeah, they would have got eaten alive yesterday if they were playing a good team.
It brings up a lot of interesting week 2 games, right? Think about Baltimore at Cincinnati. Baltimore has a chance to put the Bengals down 0-2 in their own division. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's a very good game.
That's a good game, but that's a tough start for. I'm not panicking on the Bengals, even if they're 0-2. But
no, I wouldn't panic about that either.
That's
but
not somewhere you want. Right, coming from a Dolphins fan, we were the kings of September, right? We would beat the hell out of people. We'd be 4-0, woo, and then a blink, we'd be 4-4. Like, well, we just screw up the whole start. So it happened every year.
Chiefs, Jaguars.
Huh?
Yeah, Chiefs, Jaguars next week.
Where's that? Let me see. Jacksonville. Kansas City.
No, I'm sorry, in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think that
you start 0-2
that are playing.
Yeah.
Where they might be 0-2.
How about Baker Mayfield about to be 2-0 with the Bucs?
Who do they play next week?
They got the Bears.
They have a bye week. They play the Bears.
Okay, yeah. That's a win.
Yeah, I don't care. Bowl, Indianapolis against Houston.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, and then you got obviously, the whole game just changed.
Right. Now you're gonna
going down to Dallas.
There we go. I can't stand the Cowboys, and now they're gonna get. They could get a Zach Wilson-led freaking jet squad against the Cowboys. Because I would have loved,
which will ruin everything.
As much as I don't have a hatred for him, but just to see the reaction of they beat someone 40-0 and turn around and get beat like 45-3. Like, I think it would be great. I think the Jets could do that too if Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Hopefully he's not like really, really, really hurt.
Oh God, I don't know. We'll see. That did not look good.
Yeah.
So Buffalo has a 4th and 1 on the Jet 21-yard line. Do they kick the field goal or do they go for it?
You gotta go for it.
I think they're going to go for it because they're.
You have Zach Wilson as your quarterback. Zach Wilson is bringing them out, so yes, you go for it.
It doesn't look like they are. Nope, they're going to kick the field goal. Oh, it's 4th. Never mind, it's 4th and 2. Not 4th.
That's why he gets paid and I don't. Right there.
Well, I think he's figuring they just want to get the lead.
That makes sense. I get it. I don't ever argue with points. I don't.
No, I mean I can certainly understand it, especially after what happened last year in this particular game. So Buffalo is ahead 3-0 with 3:05 to go in the first quarter.
Are we talking any college?
Yes, you may talk about your Seminoles scoring 66 points.
Nah, I'm not really. I'm not a boaster. I don't really talk about it. I'm more concerned in the fact that the Clemson Florida State game got moved at noon in 2 weeks. Like, why? Like,
Clemson is going to get massacred.
I get that, but
Clemson is going to get massacred.
I don't think so. Don't sleep on them. I'm telling you, like, they're not as good as they have been, but they have been self-destructive. They still have playmakers and they still have belief and they can still run the ball. So again,
you know what? LSU is pretty darn good, and look what you
did for them. But that's my point. Like, do you know, like, hey, I'm all for the University of Miami. Want them to come back to being competitive and being because I think college football is more entertaining when U's are relevant, when they're relevant.
Well, I want to talk about Coach Prime. I'm loving this guy. They might make the playoff.
How? No, they can't.
No.
They have to be like. Don't forget. Like, look at their schedule. Look what they have coming up.
I get it. They
beat an overrated TCU team. They beat a Nebraska team that can't beat themselves. Literally, Jeff Sims can't take a snap from the center without dropping it, and that's how they scored twice. Like, again, to where that team came from, they didn't win a game last year. But the fact that, like, because Prime's the transfer portal has made him, his son's a stud, right? He's got a vendetta against Florida State. I don't hate him for it. I respect the fact that I get why he's upset.
Why is he upset? Because he didn't get hired?
He probably didn't get a legit shot. And that's I don't know the ins and outs of that. I wasn't involved in that. But I can understand that's gotta be why. But he's got a lot of Bobby Bowden, Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator that he was there for 3 decades. Like, there's a lot of that in him. And like, that's for all the flashy stuff that he does, there's a old school head coach in there. He just does it with a little bit of swagger, and he does it with a little bit of like he tells some hard truths. But if you're a dog in his mind, he has your back, but he has you believing. Like, and that's all that place, they must be absolutely, like, I mean, think about it. You went from not winning a game to now you're able to, right. And like,
and 2 impressive wins.
But you have wins. You have some teams coming up. You have Utah, right? You have USC.
Oh,
Washington, Oregon.
You have Washington. I'm trying to think. Let me pull up their schedule. I know they have
USC and Utah are both.
They have them back to back. I'm trying to remember who it was. I know they have someone back to back.
I'm watching USC give up 30 points to San Jose State.
You think that's my point? They're going to score, but like they aren't in the caliber of Lincoln Riley's offense. And Charles Kelly was
Are you sure about that?
Charles Kelly's their defensive coordinator. I watched him completely screw up on defense at Florida State. We won despite him. Like, you're not going to get any love lost from anybody from Tallahassee about Charles Kelly.
And he's the USC coordinator, or
he's the defensive coordinator at Colorado.
At Colorado.
So okay. Oh, I forgot. They go at Oregon, at home against USC back-to-back weeks. September 23rd, they're at Oregon, which will be game day, which took us off game day because it was going to be us and Clemson. And then the next week they have USC at home. And then they still have UCLA, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more ranked teams to win. By the time they play Utah, which is the last game of the year, they'll have their quarterback back. Utah will. He's coming off of ACL surgery. Yeah. DJ Ungalele, whatever his name is, at Oregon State. He's definitely like everybody at Clemson blamed him. They ain't blaming him anymore. Like their offensive coordinator brought in the Riles guy from TCU, and they're the same damn offense. Dink, dunk, dink, dunk, dink, dunk. Run the quarterback. Like, yes, I plan on going because when hopefully we score 60, I will be the most obnoxious Seminole fan in the building. So, but going back to Colorado, I just don't. Yeah, great story, but they're losing 3 games. They have to.
That's still pretty good I'm surprised that. Like, what's a realistic timeline for Coach Prime to be?
The transfer portal changes everything.
Right.
It changes everything. I mean, what did he let go? 60 kids?
Yeah.
He brought his entire group with him. Like, let's be honest. I'm more impressed like that they didn't exactly steamroll HBCU. But like here they are playing in a legit Power 5 conference and they look better. So like that's the one thing I really appreciate about Prime is the fact that he's bringing respectability to places where people never really gave it any credit. There's some really good football going on over there. Obviously, if they're bringing their whole squad over to this, and I don't care if TCU is still ranked in the top 20, that's a signature win for him right out of the chute. So, do I want him coaching Florida State? I'm happy with the guy we have now.
As he should be. Your quarterback is he's real good.
And we will see. Don't get me wrong. I love everything that Mike Norvell has done. I am 1,000% behind and love every second of it. The climb from where we were to where we are now. We'll really see the next 2 to 3 years after this year. Because let's be honest, when you have Jordan Travis as your quarterback, a lot of things open up in your playbook that you never thought you had because he's like a video game. I mean, if you watch that Southern Miss game, like we had a 4th and 5 and he ran around backwards like 50 yards and completed a 5-yard dump off for a first down. And it was the most exciting 4th and 5 I've ever seen. So like that type of stuff you can't teach. But my biggest takeaway in college football so far, how over damn rated the SEC is. The SEC is now 1-4 against the ACC.
That's
Miami beats A&M. We beat LSU. We didn't just beat them. Like we have absolutely curb stomped.
You beat.
We bullied the big bad wolf outside of Alabama. Got bullied at home.
They did get bullied.
They got
Saturday night.
And like, hey, like, and I'm not sitting here pumping our chest out, pump the brakes. We still have a gamut to run through to get to where we want to get to. But if I'm Kirby Smart, like. I know he'll never say this, but I'm kicking my feet up going, this is easier than I thought it was going to be. Like I know Texas has gotten a lot better and Sarkisian's phenomenal, but you shouldn't go in there and just absolutely go into their place and just push them around. I don't know. And it goes back to everybody chants SEC. And I'm like, hang on a second. Like you can't scream that anymore. Granted, they have the national champ. I understand that, but that's a Georgia thing. That ain't an SEC thing. Like, that makes sense. Like, I get Bama's run and I get it, but like I'm going off of what I see this year. I see a lot of overrated, hyped teams that aren't as good as they're. And granted, don't get me wrong, they're compared to what they've been and who they and their right, their brand, right? Bama saying you have a bad Bama team is still better than 98% of D1's places. Like if they go 10-2, they're going to want to like burn the stadium down. burn the jerseys. They weren't lucky, right? They're 10-2. You know, it's like, what an awful year. We went to the New Year's Six bowl game. How miserable. We had to go to the Orange Bowl and play whoever, right? But like everybody else, but I still like the ACC gets a lot of crap for not being very good. You know, we've done a pretty good job this year against some teams and we're not playing the Vanderbilts of the SEC either. We're playing significant players in the game and held our own.
Well, when the Florida teams are good, Florida State and Miami, the Gators obviously in the SEC, but when those teams are good, like the ACC is right at like it looks like Miami's Tyler Van Dyke, he's pretty good, and Florida State.
Very good.
I just looked at the rankings. Florida State's number 3, Colorado up to number 10 after their 2-0 start. You know that legitimizes the ACC a lot when Miami and Florida State are good.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of my heyday, like when I was going to school. Like it was, you would see Miami, Florida, and Florida State in the top 5 religiously. Those 3 schools were in the top 5. Like if you won the state of Florida, you might not have won the national championship, but you played for it. And that's what I would love to see back. I would love to see that back. But we got to have 2 of the 3. We can't have all 3 be irrelevant because it's no fun. So, but yeah, I mean, like, and I do it. Like, AP and all those polls. Again, we talked about this earlier. It doesn't matter what you're ranked right now. It matters in November, right? They don't care. But like, we're still like, this is like preseason. Everybody's jockeying for position still. Like, we don't know how good Ohio State is. You know, Notre Dame went into a tough place and beat an NC State team that has done pretty well against Sam, what's his face before.
Yeah.
So like NC State is not an easy place to win. You know, I not with that defense. And Hartman took care of it again. So Notre Dame's lurking, but you know, you're looking at one SEC team now, right? If you're picking it now, you're looking at Georgia, the winner of the Ohio State and Michigan game, because no one else is going to beat them.
Notre Dame's going to play Ohio State in South Bend in a couple weeks. That should be interesting because I think Notre Dame's good. They can run the ball. They're physical, and Hartman's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Notre Dame's going to get spanked in that game.
The biggest dilemma we have, let's just say, okay, boom. Notre Dame beats Ohio State. Ohio State beats Michigan. Now what?
This is why we need.
Suppose Penn State beats.
Penn State does not. That's. I mean, if
they win one of if they beat one of them,
that's not happening. That's not happening.
Because
you have a better chance of scoring in last night's football game against the Cowboys than you have of Penn State winning a game against.
Well, we should have scored. We had 2 field goals missed. Of course,
but that's the only way I see an SEC team other than Georgia creeping back into this thing, because you got to figure no one's beating USC. Nobody.
Colorado.
They have no. USC will boat race them. As much as I'm a fan, USC is it's a different level. It's a different level. You're talking about a team that they haven't played anybody that can match up with the speed they have. That
true.
USC has got every bit of speed, if not. And by the way, their quarterback is the first pick of the draft, and he's the defending Heisman Trophy winner. He's not bad. He's pretty damn good. He makes a mockery out of college football. You know, so like, you know, I don't look at the schedule, but does Notre Dame and USC play still? They used to play every year.
Yes,
it's going to be a mess. Like,
they always play each other.
I figured that, but I don't know if this all alignment, if it changed anything.
No, Notre Dame just kind of does their own thing.
Yeah, they do.
Because they have the NBC contract. They still play.
As much as I can't stand the Big Ten, the Ohio State Notre Dame game, I can't. It's like it's a game I have to watch, but if I could pick a 19 overtime tie, that'd be the game. I can't root for either one of them. I can't stand either one of them. I can't stand it. So, but there's a long way to go. But I'm telling you that Texas going into Alabama, man, and that they should have won last year. Texas should have won last year.
Ewers got hurt last year.
Right, exactly. And that, I say they stopped them, but a 10-point win, that's significant. To know that Texas
wasn't that close. I mean,
it wasn't that close. Exactly.
They beat them.
to Texas, for any team to have to know they're going to run the ball and can do it against any Nick Saban team, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That just normally doesn't happen. They ran it. They ran it at them, knowing and that's where I take from the Florida State LSU game. They knew we were running the ball in the second half, and they couldn't stop it. That's alarming.
No, that's just you guys are just really good.
Yeah, but
that's why
our line is still our weakest. Our offensive line is still our weakest link. But I'm excited because we have BC this week, and then one of our only tough games is Clemson. That's going to be. They've beaten us 7 years in a row. We gotta fix it.
You'll destroy PC. You'll score 60 again against them.
No,
they're terrible.
They're having that. It's going to be a cool thing, though. It wouldn't be a bad click on to watch at noon. I want to think one of their players that played there ran up into the towers on 9/11, and they're having a big thing, which it'd be a pretty cool pregame thing to check out. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's supposed to be, I forgot the kid's name, but I read the story this morning, and it's going to be pretty neat thing to watch, I think, up in BC. So that'd be a cool thing to check out. Other than that, Roger said, I read this, injures ankle, is questionable to return.
Ugh.
Yeah, I just got that.
Those things can linger for weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say where what the note I got on my phone didn't say what part of the ankle is hurt. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been ruled out though.
I'm thinking if he came off on a cart, it ain't just run of the mill.
Remember the one opener against the Bears the one year? He did something. Khalil Mack got him, and he came back in, and he was all doped up and played. He's tough. He might come back into this thing.
He might come back in the second half. That's always a possibility.
Oof.
I mean, ESPN is livid right now because they were the Rodgers debut against Josh Allen, big profile game, and now they got Zach Wilson in there.
Right. And Buffalo's had 3-0.
Right.
I mean, the Jets defense, they handled Josh Allen last year fine.
I'm telling you, Mike.
Oh yeah, no, they did. They, as a matter of fact, when they went to Buffalo, when they lost in Buffalo, their defense did a pretty good job. I mean, I think they lost 28-10, but they only gave up 28 points. They were on the field the entire game.
What do you think? The guys from Get Up, Greenies. What do you think? He's probably crying.
They were all hopped up. They were all hopped up this morning.
Hyperventilating, crying right now. Again, I'm not laughing at his injury. I'm laughing at the.
It's just it's amazing how some of these teams never catch a break, never figure it out. Like the Chargers blowing the 27-0 lead in the playoffs last year. That's so Chargers. They have a bunch of good teams in the 2000s.
Exactly. That's kind of like a Giant thing to do, really.
Don't leave the Finns out of it too. Like I said, we have that wonderful beautiful drive at the end, and guess what? We missed the extra point. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Doug, do you remember in 2001 when the Giants played the 49ers? When the Jeff Garcia game, when the Giants had 39-14 in the fourth quarter, and they lost the game 41-39.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
That's where they had that field goal mishap, right? And
right.
They got dragged down and
right. Look at this. The Jets are going to get. They caught him at the 10-yard line. What was that like? Hall just ran the ball for like 80 yards. He looked like the only reason he got caught is because he looked like he just got tired. That guy is really good.
Breece Hall.
Yeah, from the 3-yard line, he just ran about 85 yards.
Yeah, there it is on my phone. 83 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he's ahead of the field by a mile, but it looks like he got tired.
Lack of conditioning.
Yeah, well, it's still early.
Oh,
I will give Buffalo credit, though. You know what? They didn't give up on the play, and they ran him down.
Well, I hope Rodgers.
I hope Rodgers comes back in the second half. I mean, you'd really like to see.
That place will go absolutely insane if he comes hobbling out of the freaking tunnel.
That's a good way to get brownie points with New York. You play hurt.
Well, I'm sure if there's one. I mean, again, like how many we've seen that guy play through everything.
Yep.
Matthew Walsh, high school, college, NFL teams need to do away with the artificial turf and go back to grass fields. Too many injuries on artificial turf.
Money, money, money.
I agree with that.
Money, money, money.
Do you have a thought on that as a former professional athlete, Doug?
I agree. I mean, the turf really sucks the life out. The turf now is a little bit different than it was back when I started.
When you played, that stuff looked like it was cement. I mean, I couldn't tell because I've never been to the Metro. I was never at the Metrodome. Looked like it, yeah.
Concrete. But this stuff is different. I mean, this stuff is I mean, I can understand it's cost efficient. I get all that stuff. I like grass. I mean, you're talking about professional sports. High school, college, I could see how they have turf because it's easy to play on. Depends if you're in the Northeast. I get all that stuff. I want turf for my high school team here only because it's a better option than what we have because the field itself is a train wreck. But I understand the thought process of wanting natural grass. If I had my druthers, I would pick a professional style team with ground screws and everything. I'll take a natural field over the turf. There are injuries that happen because of turf. I didn't see it yet. I haven't seen the play where he got hurt on. Obviously, with this comment, I think with Matthew's comment, I think it must have had something to do with it. Or it could have helped. Who knows? I know, I've seen some pretty nasty injuries on both, but it all goes back to the mighty.
Well, the Eagles were always complaining about Veterans Stadium. That's how bad
that turf was bad. That turf was hard. Holy moly! The old
you played
stuff,
there, right?
Yeah, the old stuff. Played them both. Yeah, the old stuff was that shit was hard. Same with the Metrodome. I can't imagine what the Vikings guys felt like. Oh my! I mean, I had creases in the turf, the seams in the turf where I was looking at cement, and I'm thinking like, man, if your elbow hits that, your knee, like whatever it is, like you're getting hit on that. As great as it is to like you feel fast, but I mean, baseball's different than football. I mean, everybody's fast in football, right? You're not really getting any benefits of turf. Like baseball hitting, there's benefits. The ball's faster, less defense, whatever. But like I can't imagine what those guys, the burns they must have gotten, because the burns we would get from diving were just, I mean, those ones that are like gradually, like you wake up and they don't scab, they get worse. It just pusses for days on end. And I remember Torrey burnt his belt loop, like his belt was melting, like he dove and his belt was melting. And it stuck to his pants, and his hand got burned just so bad. Chad Allen, I remember another outfitter burned like I'm talking 5-6 layers of skin off his hand from diving and hitting his hand, and it was like that. Like that pinkish, bright red kind of. It ain't quite bleeding, but it just looks like raw meat. I feel for all those guys that played on that stuff, like football. I can't fathom that.
Down on 19, fellas. Who do you think the scariest player in the NFL is to prepare for? Mahomes, Hill, Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa. Tyreek Hill's a freak. Like nobody can catch him. He runs great routes. I don't know what you do as a defensive back room to slow him down. That's got to be the scariest.
I'm a pretty good sense of who I am. I'm okay with getting humiliated. Then, I would think, to think about Nick or either one of the Bosa brothers line up on my quarterback's blind side, I'd be like, not only I'm okay with getting beat here, but he might decapitate our $250 million guy that I can't see. That to me is scary. That to me is if I get embarrassed, that's bad enough, but it leads to us for losing our quarterback for 6 weeks because he just got murdered by one of the Bosa brothers. But I get the idea of the
Well,
Tyreek Hill.
Geno Smith yesterday when he saw Aaron Donald, he's like, oh shit.
I'd be like, damn, dude. Like, man, there's no way a guy that big should be able to run that fast.
Yeah.
And to know he's trying to come get me, like that's just, I can't fathom that. Like,
well, I think the comment was, "Oh shit, not again." I think that was what he.
What team that struggled yesterday do you believe in the most? That's going to be fine. Seattle looked terrible. Steelers look terrible. The Giants look terrible. The Bears look terrible. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. Cincinnati looked terrible. I'm putting that on weather, though. Like, Joe's been nursing a calf injury the whole preseason. It's pouring rain, and it just didn't go their way.
I don't care. Honestly,
but they got great receivers.
I don't care if the field. I don't care if baby oil is getting squirted out of the sky. You threw for under 100 yards.
It's not a good look. You're right.
It's 3 points.
And you've got great receivers. For crying out loud. Didn't seem to bother.
Cleveland scored 24 points. Like there's I get all the things you mentioned, absolutely, but aren't you like you're Joe Burrow, dude? You can play in you should play in. You should generate more than 3 points if you're playing in mud, cement, baby oil, whatever it is. Like you can. I saw that he threw for 83 yards. I'm like, did he get hurt again? Like, how is that possible? You have three of arguably the best, deepest receiving core in the NFL. How do you only score 3 points?
Well, there's an old saying, okay, if you're healthy enough to be on the field, then you have no excuses. Is that really accurate? Is that an accurate comment? Or
yeah, if you go out there, yeah.
Yeah, if you're healthy enough to play, then you have no excuses.
Yep. Amen. I always say this: if people that have 9-to-5 jobs or construction jobs or whatever, if you went to work, you can't make excuses. I'm hurt. No, I don't want to hear that. There are a lot of people that get up every day with bad backs, bad knees, bad wrists, whatever it is, and go do a heck of a lot more things that are more physically taxing than what we do. You don't hear them complain. Hey, they went out there, so can we. That's the way I look at it. Let's not make this more than what it really is. I actually liked playing banged up because it kept my brain somewhere in the middle. I wasn't worried about my performance as much because I was just trying to get through the game. And I just felt I feel like you almost have to earn, not like Braveheart or anything, but you got to earn your teammates' respect to be like, I know he's banged up, but he's going out there, and that means the world. I remember, I always go back to Derek Jeter. I literally watched him on crutches every night, but he snuck in and he snuck out. He didn't let anybody see him. But I knew a guy could not walk. But come game time, he was the first guy sprinting out of the dugout going, I guarantee you my back doesn't feel any worse than his knee does. He's going out there. So am I. And that's how you build street cred, and that's how you build teams to be mentally tough, because you don't see a lot of guys that can play through injuries that are mentally weak.
No, that's for sure.
So, but he's 14 for 31 for 82 yards. I don't care if he had one shoe off. Joe Burrow should be able to throw for 100 yards in today's NFL.
No, not with the receivers he has either.
Oh,
his receivers are unbelievable.
If Jamar Chase had 82 yards yesterday, you'd be like, man, he had a bad game. That's your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Jamar Chase had 39 yards. He's got to have fresh legs now. He just took a week off.
Are you worried about the Bengals long term because of that?
No. Again, we'll see. You get good weather next week. Like I said, that's a big game for week 2. That's a big one.
That's a big start. You get
big
Cleveland and Ravens back to back.
Right. Big divisional games. You start 0-2, you're climbing. You're climbing the rest of the year.
Especially if you lose to the Ravens, because that's a division game and it's in Cincinnati too. So that's one more thing.
Correct. So that's a big, if you're looking at let's just say if the NFL had college game day, that's where I'd be. That's a big one.
The NFL should have
that.
games.
They should, right? You'd think so.
Yeah.
Like everybody has their own. That's the problem. Everybody has their own, right? Everybody has, I guess, their own pregame, postgame, but at most part, an NFL does, but they have it centrally located. But I think I think they're doing it more and more. They do it for playoff games,
Yeah, they do.
you know. But
Like the old Madden truck, the Madden bus.
yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Yes.
Don19 says the Chargers are going to be fine. Yeah, I do think the Chargers are going to be fine. The Chargers, I don't think – Chargers did Charger things and lost another close game. And Don19 says the Chiefs are going to be fine.
I would agree to that.
I would agree.
Like I'm not the Chiefs could be 0-6. I'm like, they're still making the playoffs.
Right.
Because they can run off 12 games in a row.
Until that stake is driven through their heart and they're
eliminated. Correct.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
If there's one team in the NFL that can start 0-5 and you still I'm still picking them to win the division, it's them. Or make it to the playoffs and make a push, I'll take them.
Yeah, all day long.
So.
Right,
although I'll tell you what, if they don't have Kelsey, they don't win a Super Bowl this year without Kelsey.
But they got a long way to go. They got
He'll be fine. He'll be okay.
Andy Reid, I trust.
Yeah.
X-rays negative on Aaron Rodgers. He will not return to the football game tonight.
It sounds like
okay. But if the X-rays are negative, that means that he may have sprained it, which could be worse.
If it's a high ankle sprain, you almost would rather have a broken bone.
We didn't hear MRI. Rodgers has MRI. We didn't hear that one. And until we hear MRI, and then we really know what's going on.
We'll probably hear about it at the end of the game, right? They'll tell us at the end of the game. But
I don't think they have MRI machines in the books, do they?
Some places have them now.
Really? Yeah, I mean, they all have X-rays.
I would think New York does because there's two teams there, right?
Yeah. Well, if any place would have it, they would.
Right. You would think so. But I guess, unless they want. I mean,
what a beautiful play by Josh. What a beautiful pass by Josh Allen. That was just pretty.
I don't know how MRIs work that fast, though. Like with all that swelling, I wouldn't. We always had to wait. We'd go the next day. I mean, I never really had anything that would swell up to get an MRI on, though. Back, shoulder, wrist. Like, it's never really been swollen like immediately. So I don't know. I would think so, but I mean, they're going to tell us he has a sprained ankle.
Well, if he tore something, I mean, it would definitely swell.
I would think if he tore something, it would have a broken bone in it somewhere. But that doesn't make again a break of an ankle bone is probably easier to recover from than a high ankle sprain, a nasty high ankle sprain.
Well, X-rays.
I remember Antonio.
I know, but that doesn't mean like there's a lot of times where you can see stuff that isn't broken.
Yeah, I hear you.
At a later date, like that's like a high ankle sprain. It's like almost people would be like, "Oh my gosh, he broke his ankle." That wouldn't be as bad as what some nasty. I haven't seen. Like I said, I still haven't seen the video of the play, so I don't know if someone sat on him, if someone rolled it, someone dove into it, whatever. But
yeah, I didn't see the play either.
But man, it's
more misery for today. All right, final thoughts before we get out of here. Get Sports Jeopardy, Fandemonium up, then Rivals taking you into the night here on A2D Radio. Final thoughts? Anything we didn't cover that you want to get off your chest?
No, sir. I said my P's and Q's about college football.
My must-win week for the New York Giants. Also, must-win week for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights if they want to make a bowl.
All right, we're pulling for them.
There you have it. That'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to our great sponsors at hats.com and Royal Billiards, also Baguio's Breads. Thank you to everyone who liked, commented, and shared the show. For Doug Mankiewicz, Brad Ryer, I'm Rob Brinkman. See you next Monday, everybody.